Thank you all for listening, and hopefully you're going to take something out of this today. As you can imagine, doing what I do, the last 2 weeks have been really busy. And I've just said to Joe, my phone has been running out twice, the battery in a day, where I've spent so much time talking to various business owners about the current situation. And you know, what advice can I give to somebody in the current situation? Because we're all making it up day by day. The government are making it up day by day. And in some cases, you know, it's hour by hour. But what I have been saying to people is, the bad news is we are all in this current situation together. The good news is we're all in this current situation together. So it's the same for everybody. Yes, there will be 1 or 2 people that are doing okay in here, but the vast majority of us will be having thoughts about, what do I do? How do I raise income? How do I survive? How do we go on? And for me, part of that, you know, we need to actually get our mind right about how we can actually do what we need to do to actually get through this, however long it's going to be. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with a little story for you, because I know we all love a story. I could have done my Max Bygraves impersonation there. So I want you to imagine, okay, so you can close your eyes for this if you like, or however you do it, but I want you to imagine that you go to bed tonight. And then when you wake up in the morning, you look around and there's no people, because overnight the aliens from different planets have come and abducted every single human being on the planet. They've taken them away. Now you can just imagine that in the beginning that's going to be a little bit weird. You know, where's everybody gone, and is it real? But after a week or 2, you're beginning to get used to it and realize that you're on your own. So what you do, you pop down to the local Aston Martin dealership where you've seen that really nice Vantage with a nice soft top and 5.3 litre engine, and you think, right, okay, there's nobody here. So you grab the keys, you jump in it, and you drive around in your new Aston Martin. You pop down to the jewellers and take the Rolexes out the window, and you've got 3 Rolexes up each arm because you can. And then maybe that Gucci handbag that you've wanted forever. And I know Joe likes a nice Gucci handbag. So, and those diamond earrings that are sitting there. And then after a while, you think, cool, that big house that's up on the top there, that mansion, I really like that. I think I'll go and live there. And then what you do, you whip up to the mansion and you're sitting there in your 14 bedrooms and 12 bathrooms, and you're enjoying it. And then the next thing is you think, the banks, there can't be anybody in the bank. So you nip down to the local bank and you take out all the money, and you've got great big bagfuls of money. And you're sitting there with that in your mansion with all your bedrooms and bathrooms, looking out over your palatial acres that are sitting there with your lakes and your swimming pool and all of that. And then after another week or so, you begin to think, do you know what? Something's not quite right here. I'm missing something. All of this stuff I've got, what does it actually mean to me without people? Because as human beings, we are pack animals. We are herders. We are meant to be together. Despite what you might have seen in the news and how some people have been so selfish and self-obsessed with this whole situation that, you know, they're, you know, bulk buying everything, toilet rolls, you've seen it all, and all of that stuff. The reality of it is we are all here, and without that human interaction, you know, there is definitely something missing. And the biggest problem, we get lonely being on our own. And for me, this current situation is actually giving us an enforced situation like that. And we need to actually do something about it, because we realize that we need people. So I'm gonna give you shortly, I'm gonna give you 7 tips about how I cope with that and what I do, but there'll be 1 or 2 little stories interacted with that as well, because we all have a story, I know that. So for me, as a psychologist, I've got a very stoic view on life, and I do like the old philosophers. But the stoicism is something, one of the basic principles for that. And I don't know if any of you have read my latest blog about hoping for the best and planning for the worst. But that comes from stoicism as well. But the two key areas in that for me is there's only two things that we can control in our, in our lives, and that is our thoughts, what we think about stuff, and our actions. We can't control what other people are doing. And just this morning, I had a client call me quite upset about the way that the government last night had made the announcement about limited companies and what the directors of smaller limited companies are going to get. And this client was quite upset about it and angry. And I pointed out to her and said, look, I can understand you being angry. It is the same for all of us that are company directors. And that's the way that it is. We pay ourselves generally by dividends, and, we pay a minimum amount, so we pay least tax. So, it is coming around a little bit that, we can't have it both ends. But the point of all of it is, all of the time that this particular person was getting upset with the government, it's actually overthinking the situation, and the thoughts that you're having about that, to me, there's a question there. Is that helping you or is that hindering? It's certainly not helping you feel better, is it? And it's not going to change anything. So that particular thought that the government have not helped us, you being angry doesn't change that. It doesn't change it for me. All it does for me, when somebody does something that I have zero control over, it makes me think, right, okay, what can I do in this situation? Okay, they're not going to pay me any money. And if the best that they did, it might work out over the period of time, 1,500 quid over 2 or 3 months. So I'm pretty sure that somehow my time would be better focused on what I can do than worrying about something that is out of my control and I just can't do anything about. And that is at the basis of stoicism. It is about, I can control two things. I can control the actions that I'm going to do and my thoughts, which brings me on to quite an important bit, really. Our thoughts, whatever they're going in, some people would say to me, we can't control our thoughts. And if I explained it a little bit like this, you've all seen Sky TV. I was going to say Sky Sports, but there's nothing on there worth watching at the moment. But we've all got Sky News, and across the bottom there goes a ticker tape, and it comes up with all the news items all the time. Now, the thoughts that come into our head are just like that ticker tape. They're constantly going in, and there's positive thoughts, there's negative thoughts. And we choose, based on our cognitive bias, which of those thoughts that we want to take out. So I'm very much of the mind that I only want to pick out the positive ones. I'm not really interested in the negative ones if I can't control it. So with that all coming, if I've got a negative thought come into my mind, and we all get them, I'm going to say to myself, is that helping me or hindering me? And if it's hindering me, I'm going to move it on and replace it with 3 positive thoughts. And you might say to me, well, that's all right for you saying that. Yes, it is all right for me saying that because I've practiced it. And that's what I would say to anybody watching this. If you really want to make a difference, you need to practice that, because ultimately, and this is what I say to you, just imagine this is your analogy, if you like. Positive thoughts and positive thinking is the vehicle. And positive action is the fuel that goes in the vehicle. The vehicle won't move if you don't put the fuel in it. So it's great having positive thoughts, but you've got to do something about it. So if you have a positive thought, you need to follow it up with a positive action. So stoicism, let's think about that. You control your thoughts and you control your actions. You can't control anybody else. So worrying about what the government are doing and how much money they're going to pay to business directors is a waste of energy, and it's a waste of emotion. And as we go on through the tips that I'm going to give you, perhaps you'll see how this is all relevant. So my first super tip for your self-isolation is about structure. again, as human beings, we need structure, we need boundaries. And I think what has happened, people have been thrown into this situation where they can't go out and they're stuck at home. And so they just go into, what am I going to do? And there's the start of it. So for me, it's about planning my day. So every day I'm up at 5 o'clock anyway. So I'll get up, make my good wife a cup of tea, take her a cup of tea, which sometimes she thanks me for at 5 o'clock, sometimes she doesn't. I'll give her a cup of tea and then I'll go out and I'll go and do my run. I'll do a 5-mile run every morning. And then I'll come back and then I start to get on with my day. And this morning it was our ABC networking online. And then I will work through my day, taking the phone calls from clients and doing what I've planned to do. It's absolutely crucial that we find a routine and we stick to that routine, because it also stops us overthinking, which is another thing I'm going to come on to in a minute. One of the things that you might practice is something called the ultradian rhythm, which is the body's natural rhythm, and the way that we actually respond to things. And what I would say to you there is, so for me, I'll work flat out on one thing for 90 minutes, and then I'll stop for 20 minutes and I'll go and walk around the garden, or I'll do something different that I want to do, but I'll focus on that one thing for 90 minutes. And that is generally the body's natural rhythm, 90 minutes on, 20 minutes off. Try it. Break your day down into that time. The SAS guy, is it 020 or something, Andy McNabb, he wrote his books by working in Costa Coffee. So he'd go to a Costa Coffee, write for 90 minutes, and then get up and walk to the next one, which was 20 minutes away. And then he'd sit down, have another cup of coffee and write for 90 minutes. That's how he broke his day down. So number one is actually get on to a structure, a daily plan. Maybe second thing, number two, maybe learn a new skill. You know, the amount of things, this whole thing that's happening to the world is, you know, it is a message to us that we need to change something. So learn something, learn how Zoom is going to work, learn how maybe you could put your new product or your current product or service online. Learn something, fill your brain up with something that's positive rather than sitting there dwelling on something that's not. Number three, we briefly mentioned this in our ultradian rhythm, exercise. For me, part of our brain, when people talk about depression, and I know one of my panel members after this knows a lot about this, but one of the things is we get an imbalance of chemicals in our brain, and the three predominant ones of those are serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin. The way that we can actually top these up and keep them and the feel-good factor is by moving. And if you just walk around your garden, if you've only got a little garden, it doesn't matter. If you haven't got a garden, walk around your house, your flat, whatever, but move. Get up and get moving. Even if it's for 5 minutes, jump up and down, get some exercise, get your heart rate up, because that on itself will produce those endorphins that will help you stay healthy in your mind as well. It's absolutely crucial, because sitting there with inactivity is one of the worst things that you can do for your own mental health. So let's get moving. Go and do some press-ups somewhere. Do something different. Do sit-ups on squats onto a chair. Step up and down your bottom stair or something. Just get going, get moving. So that's number three. Number four, and this is the bit going back to the story, how I started today, is engage with people and other groups. You know, for me, it's interesting that I belong to several Facebook groups and other business groups, and I see it, and then I'll see a really good comment and I will go on and comment, but then I'll see 50 people have watched it, but nobody's engaging with it. Now more than ever, it's important that we engage with other people. We need that human contact. You know, if you don't know what to do, you know, and you feel, and a lot of people do this, they feel that they've got nothing of value to say. Well, think about this. You don't have to tell people in there. Go in and ask a question. What would you say to your best friend? Ask the person in that conversation, ask them a question. A really good, positive, open question. You know, Sarah, how did you name your business after Panda Collabs? You know, Andrea, how did you get into confidence coaching? Ask those questions to somebody, you know, well, not those ones, because if their name's Bert and you're asking them, Andrea, how'd you do that? Might be a bit weird. But the essence of it is ask some good, positive, open questions, because we're not interested in all this negativity, all this focusing on, you know, the crap that's going on. We can't change it. So we're back to the stoicism. So get in, ask about the conversations, ask about them, and get involved with them. Be interested in what somebody's got to say. I mean, classic thing. Years ago, I used to run courses for young lads that couldn't get dates because they were shy, because this, because of that. And they'd all ask me about chat up lines, and that's what a load of rubbish that is as well. And the basic thing is, I think it's something like 95% of all divorced ladies say the prime reason that they're divorced is my husband didn't listen to me. So if you actually start listening to somebody and being interested in them, you go into the top 5%. So entering a conversation in a chat room or into, you know, a Facebook group and ask an open, positive question, you'll already be in front of most people that are just sitting there looking and not actually getting involved. It's important now more than ever. Number 5, this is a hard one for a lot of people. It's not about you. Clearly, it is about you, because that's what we're talking about, how to keep your mind positive. But if you actually turn it around and focus on other people, it stops you overthinking about your own problems and becoming self-obsessed about what's wrong or the bad things. So, you know, for me, it's, you know, it's not about you. You know, if I'm networking or out with anybody and people say, what do? You know, you heard me introduce myself today. You know, I say, I'm Ash, I'm an elephant trainer, but more importantly, tell me about you and be interested in them, because it's not about me. And it's not about you. So ask some decent questions and think about, you know, how you can be interested in that other person. Number 6, appreciate the small things. You know, it's so easy, again, going back to the original story, all of that stuff. Yes, it's nice to have nice things, but all of those nice things, if you haven't got somebody to share with, don't mean anything. You know, you imagine being on this planet and the aliens are taking everybody else. Yeah, you can have that nice Rolex or that Aston Martin or that mansion. You can have all those things, but if you've got nobody to share it with, you know, what's that all about? So start appreciating the small things that you've got in your life. You know, you're not living in a mud hut in Syria with somebody dropping bombs on you. You're here, appreciate that you get up. And I think, to me, every single morning, I wrote a blog about this last week, about making the most of every day. When I put my feet on the ground, get out of bed, put my feet down, I say to myself, I'm going to make the most of every day. Because to me, it's the way to start. You start off on a positive, and we're starting with things that we can do, and, you know, be genuinely interested in really making the most of that day. And you do that by appreciating the good things you've got. Start the day with your, you know, your attitude of gratitude. I know that's an old cliche, but for me, I clean my teeth and I look out the window over the fields and I'm thinking, how lucky am I to be living here, to be here. I've got 3 healthy sons. I've got some really good friends and a good collection of people around me in the, you know, the ABC network and my clients. And I'm really appreciative of that, you know, so appreciate those, you know, small things in our life. And finally, the 7th thing is, let's look for the good things in other people, because it's so easy to pick out all of those negative bits that people are not doing. And I've worked with so many bosses of companies that have invited me and say, oh, these people are not doing that, they're not doing this, and they're wrong all the time. I'm not really interested in that. I'm looking for, let's find out how we can get people that are, you know, doing the good things, and then focus on the good things and then help them with the other stuff. You know, let's look for that good in other people. You know, to me, it's really important. You know, when I was younger, you know, my dad being an ex-policeman, also an East Ender, he didn't trust anybody. And that's the way he said, don't trust anybody, son. They're all, it's no good. That's a recipe for disaster. For me, I trust everybody until they prove to me that they can't be trusted. Why wouldn't you give people the benefit of the doubt? I like to look for the good things in other people and be positive. So there's the 7 things for everybody. A bit of structure, learn a new skill, exercise regularly. Let's keep those endorphins up. Engage with people in other groups. More than ever, that is so important now, because in 2 months' time, when we hopefully come out the other side of this, hopefully it's sooner than that, but if we said that, if you don't engage with people now, they'll soon forget you. So keep that communication open. Number 5, it's not about you. Remember that. Number 6, appreciate the small things, and then look for the good in other people. I think that's absolutely crucial. And one final thing, if you get a chance, read my blog about, hoping for the best and planning for the worst. And that has been a strategy for me that has worked for as long as I can remember. Always, look, let's hope for the best thing, but put something in place just in case. Just in case. That's all it's about. So thank you for listening, everybody. I'm hopefully going to be joined by Joe and Sarah and Andrea now, and you can ask us loads of difficult questions and put us under the spotlight.
Thank you for that, Ash. That was really good. I was actually taking notes. I don't often take notes, but I've got all of your 7 points down here with stuff. So if Sarah and Andrea want to unmute themselves as well, I think we're going to kick it off with Sarah and Andrea just introducing yourself, letting everyone know who you are and what you do. So Sarah, if you want to go ahead first.
Hi everybody, it's really great to be here and see everyone's faces. So my name is Sarah and I run a business called Panda Collabs, which is all about helping small businesses with their systems and processes, and actually now is the best time. I would make the most of this time right now to really look at your business and see how it can be improved, and any skills that you're lacking, use this time to upskill so that you come out better at the other side of it than you were actually going into this crazy time.
Andrea, what about you?
Hi everybody, so I'm Andrea Barker, confidence coach. I've got lots and lots of skills that I use to help people with their confidence, but I also really specialise with anxiety and stress management as well. And I think we're all going to be reiterating what Ash has just said. I've got my 10 points sort of already prepared there to help everybody to move forward through these unprecedented times. And I think everyone that I've spoken to certainly agrees that actually there's some real positives that are going to come out of this experience.
Thank you. Looking through the comments on Facebook, a lot of people liked the whole 90-20 thing you spoke about, Ash, the 90 on, 20 off. 2 people said they were going to start it from today, in fact. So they're plan their day out in 90-20. That's something I haven't actually heard about before, but sounds like something I'd probably benefit from it as well. So I
think it's really good, Joe, and Andrea, you'll know, and Sarah, because both of you have been on the mindset course and we talk about it. But, a lot of people, they struggle, me included, in focusing on things. And I think the crucial bit is if you get used to that 90 minutes on and 20 off, turn everything off in that time. So focus on what you're doing. And then just get up and move about and, take your phone calls then if you want to, if that's it. But a bit of focus and you'll find you'll get more done and you'll feel better at the end of the day.
I think also the thing that's great about doing that, and then there's also something called the Pomodoro technique, which is you can download that on your laptop and things like that, which is like sets an alarm after 25 minutes or so. And the great thing is when you use this technique to just focus on one thing at that time, and with a limited time, you do get more done, because it's like, for me anyway, I'm like on a race and I'm like, okay, right, I've only got like X amount of time left, and then I just get really focused and just do as much as I can in that time. So rather than giving yourself like a whole morning or a whole day, you probably don't get it that much done or that as effectively either. So that's a really good one to try.
Yeah, and I'd add to that as well that especially while people are at home, especially those that aren't used to home working, it really is imperative to have some sort of a routine. So during the week, Monday to Friday, try and stick to a time that you do get up, that you do get showered, that you do get dressed, that you focus on your tasks. And I've used for a long time the way that Ash has mentioned, does make you more productive, but also have a sensible bedtime, factor in an exercise time, as in do keep a schedule going, because it's very tempting in these times to just maybe not get your bum into gear, if I can say it any nicer than that. And actually for your mental health, like Ash mentioned about boundaries and things like that, we definitely need some form of routine. You don't want to get to 1 o'clock in the afternoon and think that you haven't achieved anything.
Mm-hmm. Right, we're going to jump into the first question then, which I think is probably quite a deep question, really. So how do you learn to appreciate, Jay has asked. So that's, yeah, quite a deep question. Ash, why don't you kick it off, and is there any tips for that?
Yeah, quite a deep question. I think for me in that situation, I, like most people, I think I used to take a lot of stuff for granted, and you know, I tell stories in our mindset course, and we talk about, you know, we go along in our life and then something that come along and give us a tap, but although it's a warning, we come back and keep doing what we did because we're creatures of habit. And then a little bit further down our line, something that's come along and hit us a bit harder, we still don't take any notice of it. And it's not until something really hits us do we actually change something. And that for me was quite a serious health problem back in 2002. And what it made me do, it made me appreciate the very small things in life that I do have, because when you're about to lose all of that, you know, it does make you focus. So one of the things to me now, what I'd say to people is, okay, you're not being threatened by loss of life or other stuff, but it doesn't stop you appreciating what good things you have got. So start with those small things and focus on the good bits that you've got rather than things that you haven't got, because it could go like that tomorrow, and then you're not going to lay on your deathbed and be thinking, oh dear, look at all the things I haven't got. You're going to be thinking about, you know, all the things that probably you haven't done and the opportunities to, you know, to tell somebody you love them, tell somebody that, you know, you care about them. Think about those small things. And that's, for me, it was a health issue that made me focus. But now I'm very grateful every single day for the small things that I've got in my life. Yes, I'm comfortable in other areas. However, I'm still very appreciative of those small things. You know, just start with a couple of things a day. What have you got that you're glad of? You know, you're breathing. That's a result, you know, for a start, and you're alive. And guess what? The sun will come up tomorrow. Might be behind cloud, of course.
I was just to exactly the same as what Ash said, is, and I do think about this quite a lot. So about 8 years ago, I had a serious health issue, and that was a massive wake-up call for me. And as serious as it was, I'm just so grateful for that experience, because it did make me appreciate just the small things, and totally shifted like how I see things. So now it is just like, sometimes it's just taking a breath and just looking at the blue sky and just going, wow, it's amazing just to be here. And I think that's it. And I know this might sound, I don't know how this is going to sound, but at the end of the day, like, this is, you know, coronavirus is deadly, but we are all going to die at some point. We just don't know how that's going to be. So I think it's just, yeah, but people forget that, don't they? And they think, oh, I've got forever. And so this is where all this panic is coming from. So if we thought and stopped and spent just a few minutes about that every day, and just thinking, wow, how great is it to be alive? Look at my family, or the amazing people I've got in my life, or, you know, this really great thing happened today, or however big or small it is, just spending just a short amount of time every day to focus on that and just write down a list of things that you're grateful for, then that in itself will help you to appreciate things, because you just start to become more aware of those things that are important to you.
Yeah, and I'd like to reiterate exactly what Ash and Sarah has said. So the practical things that I find really useful is I have a lovely book that I write 3 good things a day in. And I do give that to my clients as well. But I put in the front of the book, write down 3 things that you're grateful for, whatever makes you smile or laugh, or anything that you just feel that's funny, or anything that you're really proud of that you've actually achieved. And that can be anything. And also what's really useful, especially if you've got children, is you could actually write down what you're grateful for on slips of paper and post them into a jar. And then at the end of the month or the end of this crisis, you can have a look at them. And actually what's good about that is you see the jar filling up with all the things that you're grateful for. And I would just also like to add to that, you know, everybody has got amazing skills, amazing talents. You know, you've all got incredible potential. And this really is a time to reflect on all of that, for sure.
Yeah, Deborah also mentioned in the comments about writing a list of everything that you're grateful for, no matter how small it is, even if it's just having running water in your house.
Yeah.
But I think, so I walk the dog every day, and I usually put my headphones in and will listen to a podcast or a video or something like that. And this morning it just happened that I forgot to charge my phone, so I didn't have battery, so I wasn't able to do that. And it was the first time in a long time that, because I walk through the woods every day, and it's the first time in a long time I've actually heard birds, because I've always had my earphones in and been in like my little close thing. And I think that sort of made me now just not want to listen to podcasts and stuff on the walk and actually go and appreciate the birds in the trees and everything like that, which I think is very important. We've also had another question from Jay as well, saying, I guess it's for any of you, do any of you have a skeleton diary plan for that 90-20 thing that you guys do? Has anyone made one of them or know where to get one?
So from my point of view, that Jay, if you're still watching, Jay, that starts to me with my to-do list. And what I do, I always do my to-do list the night before, and do it at least half an hour before you go to sleep. Get that out of the way so that your brain isn't thinking about all the things you need to do while you're sleeping, and it helps you relax. But I'll make that list, and then the next morning, because I've prioritised it, I just work on that list every day, and I'll say, right, I'm going to start on the list at, say, 8 o'clock, and then I'll work till 9:30, and then that's it, done. And then whatever that is, that buzzer will go on my phone, so I've had 90 minutes, and then I'll get up. I don't care where I am in that, I'll just get up and get on. Because if you don't, you'll sit there and you'll just go through the 20 minutes, and then you start the next 90, and it'll just go on and on. You have to be quite regimented with that.
Yeah, I find actually as well, a bit like Sarah had said before, not everyone can sustain that 90 minutes, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I sometimes set it for a bit less. But like Sarah said, I then try and beat the clock. It's almost like, how much can I get done in that time? And you definitely become more productive. But do try and schedule it in, like Ash said, you know, schedule your actual day, particularly at the moment. And you'll be surprised how much you get done without distraction.
Also as well, I don't know, so for my diary, so I've scheduling like things like my breakfast, and then like different things, and then I'll keep blocks free, say from 10 till like 11:30 it'll be free, and then all those things that I want to do, I just like slot them in. So I still have that routine of like, I'm going to have lunch at the same time every day, I'm going to go for a walk at the same time every day, but it's just I just kind of like plop the different things in those chunks.
Okay, cool. We also had Christine Fox saying that she's taken note of the participating online tip that you said, Ash. And then there's been a little discussion about knitting. She's picked up knitting again, which fits into your skill, and then some other people have as well.
Not sure with hands like this, Joe, that wouldn't work.
Yeah, we're big advocates at this Together Network thing that we've brought about teaching people new skills. So we are, I don't know if we've actually announced it yet, but we are going to start doing French lessons. So we've got someone who's going to come in and start just from basic teaching people French, which I think this is the best time really to learn a new skill. If there's anything you've ever been like, oh, I really wish I'd learned this, now is the best time, really. Robert Smith also says that Samsung mobile phones have a mode called focus mode where you can disable apps like social and set for a time period. So that's another nice little way of scheduling your day out. And Kirsten Miller said she likes to work in 60-minute cycles by using a phone alarm. I want to harken back to something from Ash's chat. So when you were talking about the engaging with people in groups, social media now is massive. There's more than 10 different social platforms. How would you suggest starting? So someone who has never had to be virtual before, maybe doesn't even have a smartphone anymore still, and is now having to all of a sudden self-isolate, but really needs the human contact. Any suggestions to those people?
I mean, personally, again, I think, most people have got Facebook now. Mm-hmm. And, in anything like that, if they do it on a laptop or PC or wherever they are, I think most people have got that. And I would just have a look at, what groups your friends are in. And, it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be some major statement about it. It's just making a start. And I think what happens with a lot of people, they worry about getting it right. Will I say the wrong thing, or what happens? You know what? It doesn't matter. It's better to get it going. Just find a group. I mean, so on Facebook, there's so many different. I mean, this group, what a great group. Look how well you've grown that. It's interesting to see how many people that you've actually got that just watch and don't actually engage. And that's the bit. Just come in and ask a question. And I think that to me is the bit. Just start with a small question. Sarah, how did you get into this? How did you get into that? What do you think about that? And just make a few comments on this. And I think, it's crucial, but start small. Just have a go. Facebook is a great one to start. Nearly everybody's got Facebook now, I would think. There's very few people that haven't got it.
I think also connecting with people you haven't for a while.
Yeah.
I know, just give them a phone call. Just be like, oh, hey, I've got a bit of downtime now. Let's catch up with some people.
Why wouldn't you do that? I mean, it makes sense,
exactly.
Doesn't it? And that's the bit, go back to the bit that I was saying about the aliens. You're going to miss people not being there. And I think, again, there's no regret in life. If they weren't here at some point, you would then regret that you didn't make the phone call. So pick the phone up and...
Yeah. Also, anybody that that's not online or that's elderly, send them a card. Send them something nice and uplifting in the post. Send them a letter. It really is a time to
disinfect it first.
yeah. That's it. No kisses on it. But yeah, it can cheer someone's day up, because we're all very good at getting on the social media side of it. Part of the work that I'm doing at the moment is in a care home, nursing home. They haven't got a clue about how to do this, but they'd really appreciate a letter or a card. So that is another way just to connect. So
any way possible to connect, really. I just wanted to say about everything's on social media now, and especially right in the minute, we're all online. And I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but I feel like sometimes I'm on Zoom all the time, and I've been spending more time at my computer than ever before. And obviously, because you're not in an office or anything like that, so I'm not really getting up and going to the coffee machine and like saying hi to people. So what I just to say, try to give yourself a little break. So in those 20 minutes in between those 90 you know, with the ultradian rhythm or whatever it is, get up and, like Ash said, like go out and go for a walk or something like that, and try to limit your time on social media as well, because you know, try to get off a computer and have some time like reading a book or like whatever it is, you know, because I don't think that's great for your mental health, really.
And I think, I was going to say as well, try and make distinction between the weekend, like today's Friday, and I've already decided I'm giving myself a complete social media holiday on Sunday. I'm just not going to engage at all, because I think you need that type of time out, should I say. And like Joe was saying, you know, just getting outdoors and just listening to the birds. And I think a great leveler, this is, you know, that I've found for me, it's really helping me, is that nature just continues. Spring's still happening, you know, and you can really take this time to connect in that way and give yourself a proper break too.
I think it's also on the same sort of vein of structure. It's also important to start and finish your day like you would usually. I've had conversations over the past days with people who are working from home and are really struggling to be like, this is the start of my day, this is the end of my day, and have found themselves working into 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock when they wouldn't usually, because usually they're in an office, then they get in the car, they come home, and then that's it, their day's done. Whereas now, because they're at home already, they're like, I might as well check my emails because I've got it set up.
You know what, Joe, that's a really good point. And that takes us back to, you know, my first tip with structure. You know, structure your day like a normal working day. Yeah. And, you know, for me, it's turn off time. You know, we get to 7 o'clock and everything goes off. I'm not interested. And you know, thankfully, the clocks are going forward. So it's going to be lighter even longer, isn't it? So, how good is that? So go out for your walk at night, as long as you stay 6 foot apart from everybody, though.
6 foot now? Oh, it is, isn't it? Yeah, 2 metres.
2 metres, yeah. 6 foot.
Sorry, I can't do that metric stuff.
No. Roland has just confirmed as well that the French lessons will be with Maria on at 10 a.m. every Thursday morning. So any of you who want to do that, it'll be every Thursday at 10 a.m. for the foreseeable future. Terry has also admitted that she's been on her phone way too much since this has happened, and I think that's the same for many people, especially if you're used to doing a job which isn't on a computer, isn't a way. Now you're on a computer and just sort of find yourself scrolling through social media for no reason, rather than actually structuring your day and focusing and getting on with it. If anyone has any more questions, keep them coming in the comments as well. If we talk about, so you also touched on something we haven't really spoken about, the looking for good in others part of your talk. Now that we are all virtual and it is a bit different, is how do you do that if you can't really get a feel for someone through social media, is what I'm sort of trying to ask. So when you meet someone face to face, you get quite a good gist of them from the first 30 seconds of chatting with them, whereas reading a bit of text that they've written, I guess that's the question, can you really get to know someone just from lines of text?
Probably not. And I think, you know, again, as humans, we need the whole gambit, if you like. And I think, you know, the teachings out there is, in a communication, only 7% of what we say is important, and something like 38% is tonality and 55% is body language. So if you've got people that you're only doing it and you're losing that 55% of body language, you know, the rest of it is tonality. And if there's no tonality, you've only got the words that they're saying. So we're already at a disadvantage. However, you know, for me, I distance myself as much as I can from people that have only got negative things to say, but I try and look for the positivity and what they think about, what is going on in their mind. And my first thing is, I wonder how I could actually help them change that. So, yeah, you know, it is difficult, and it's, you know, to try and take out the judgment from people and say, you know, what's going on in their life for them to be like this? doesn't make them bad.
Also, just to touch on that, just a bit of a silly one. If you can't, obviously, we can't see each other in person, but do you know what? I really love GIFs. So, like, just something to make people laugh as well. Just like lighting up, I don't know, whatever it is. Roland's really good at that, actually. He's always like putting funny GIFs and stuff out.
Roland's really good at everything, though, isn't he?
But just think about, what you're writing, or kind of the impression that you're giving someone else, like how you're making them feel at the other end.
I think I'd also just add to that, everything that Ash and Sarah's just said, absolutely. But also stick to any sort of groups and things like that. Do kind of authenticate them. Make sure that, maybe a few people that are already in it, which helps you validate that group. Because sadly, there are people already that have started trying to take advantage of the situation, and setting up groups, and preying on vulnerable people. That's very, very few of the population that are like that. But I just think, yes, it's much harder to judge, like this. So like set up the group that you're in at the moment. If you're watching this, this is a fantastic group. And with Joe, Carl and Roland, I know that they're working so hard behind the scenes. They're vetting all of the posts and things like that. So if you're in a really good group, then whoever's the admin in the group will also be vetting things so that there's not these negative type things coming through. Just to keep yourself safe.
We have a hashtag now, We Love Roland. Hashtag We Love Roland.
Yeah.
Lucy also said that after taking your advice of distancing yourself from negative people, she now has no friends. So she did then go to clarify she's joking, and now she only has the best people in her life. That did make me laugh. I think so. We've got 9 minutes left until we're going to close this off. I think it will be good just to go round all of you and give some tips of how to de-stress, because I think there's a lot of people at the moment that all of a sudden don't have income, basically, and that is extremely stressful, especially if you have a mortgage, you have children to provide for, stuff like that. So just some tips. I can see there's some behind you already, Andrea. Some tips of how you can sort of just de-stress and look at the positive side of life. So let's start with you, Andrea, as you've got your board behind you.
I know, my list as prepared earlier. I would say, even if you're not used to it, do sort of try and practice some mindfulness or relaxation. And also there's this misconception that you have to sort of clear your mind and that you have to be doing all this om and things like that. You don't. It's just literally a little bit of quiet time. You can even use your meditation as just going out for your walk. You can use it in just reading a book where it's quiet, anything like that just gives you that kind of quiet time. Just one other thing that I would personally add is, if any of you have ever tried the tapping, then you'll know what I'm about to say. For those of you who are not familiar with something called tapping, there are points on the body which can help settle any anxiety levels and stress levels. But I'm just going to give you I'm going to give you two simple ones that you can do. So this is for if you're feeling anxious and stressed, and if you were to put it on a scale of 1 to 10, and you feel that you're going like 6, 7, 8, it's going up the scale. One thing you can do is just around your collarbone area here, you've got something called your pain point. If you press it, it's like pressing a bruise. And all you do is tap there quite hard and just sort of tell yourself, I'm okay, and just breathe. That can bring anxiety levels down. The other one is very similar. You've got a point here on your hand. You literally tap there 30 times. It gets a bit sore, but it does work. 30 times, 5 times here, 30 times, 5 times here. And it brings the anxiety level down because your body and your mind, they work together. So that's what I'd say.
Great, thank you for that. Sarah, any tips?
So um,
Hello.
he's running away with my yoga mat.
There you go.
Right. So what I would say is going back to what Roland, Ash said at the very beginning is, and Andrew's picked up on this as well before, is about understanding what you can't control. And the thing is, the more time you have, say, this moment right now, so you can either spend that minute focusing on all the things that you can't control, which isn't going to make you feel any better, or you can focus on the things that you can control. So what are the things that you can do? So just keep going back to that. So every time you start to feel negative, just ask yourself, where am I? I'm choosing this thought right now, and I can choose to either focus on that which isn't helping and it's actually making me feel worse, or I can choose to focus it on something positive, something like that I'm either grateful for, or something that I can do that's new, that's like I can learn something new. And there's a really, really good book by a guy called Eckhart Tolle called The Power of Now. And in that book, it really talks about how to be present in the present moment. So if you're freaking out about something, try to have that awareness when you're freaking out, and then say to yourself, right in this minute, so for example, I could be saying, oh God, I don't know if I've got any clients coming in, I don't have any money coming in, what am I going to do? I've got things to pay for. But that's me fast forwarding to the future. But right now I'm fine, because I'm actually sitting here in front of this laptop and I'm talking to you guys. I've got a cup of tea, I've got, the sun is shining, right at this minute, things are good. And just, yeah, so that's a really good book. The other thing is, when I wasn't very well, I decided that I was only going to be positive, in the sense of where I only spent time like watching comedy. Like I watched loads of comedies, like TV series and film, stuff like that. I only spoke to my friends who used to were really uplifting and stuff like that, and I just kind of really took a distance from anyone who was negative. Just really protect yourself, and just give yourself some TLC, and cut yourself some slack, and that's it. Just one day at a time. That's all we can really do. But yeah, that's what I would say.
Cool. And Ash, some last words of wisdom.
Last words of wisdom, love it. So, okay, let me just say this. Everybody, just imagine for once that if stress wasn't real, it was only people having stressful thoughts. Now, what if that was the truth? And the reality of it is, stress is real, and it's a body's natural reaction to, things that are real. It was there. It's part of our prehistoric brain. It is part of the fight or flight process that we've all got. In today's modern society, stress actually comes from what we think about things. And it goes right the way back to probably how I started my talk today. It's about what we can control, which is our thoughts and our actions. And for me, the way that I've dealt with stress over the past is very much about saying, can I control this? No. And if I can't, I'm not going to spend another minute thinking about it. So I'll fill my brain up with positive stuff. Stress is there, it's real, but you're actually creating that stress by the level of thoughts you have. So be more aware of the thoughts that you're having. And what I'd say, basic cognitive behavioral therapy technique, put elastic band around your wrist, and every time you recognise that you're having a stressful thought, click the elastic band and say, right, what 3 positive thoughts can I replace this one with? It will soon bring down your stress levels. And that's it, really. It is about the level of thoughts that you're having. If you realised how powerful those thoughts were, you'd be very careful what you thought.
Great. I definitely found this useful, so hopefully everyone watching did. Make sure to say thank you to everyone in the panel down in the comments as well. Just some last comments. Paul has said to remember to value sleep as well. We sort of touch on that
Definitely.
and also said that he's been enjoying Afterlife on Netflix as a comedy to brighten his mood, so that's a good one. A few people also said that they liked the book The Power of Now as well. So that's good. Right, let's round it off then with everyone saying where people can find you. So Ash, where can people find you if they want to see more of your content and chat with you?
My blog on ashlawrence.co.uk, or if you want to email me, it's ash@ashlawrence.co.uk. There's loads of stuff in the blog. You know, there's some covers all different sort of subjects. Please go and have a look. Please join me on Twitter, which is Mindset Ash, or Ash Mindset on Twitter, and Facebook. Here I am.
Oh, and Sarah, where can people find you?
Okay, so you can contact me directly by email to sarah@pandacolabs.com, and then also on Twitter at Miss Panda Collabs. Facebook, you can catch me on there, and then Instagram, which is Sarah YUKLAN, so that's Sarah Yuklan. Catch me on there, and then there's a website coming very soon.
Space.
And Andrea.
Yeah, hi everyone. You can find me on my Facebook page, which is Andrea Barker, Confidence Coach. I've also got a website, which is andreabarker.co.uk, and I've got a blog there too with loads and loads of different advice on anxiety, stress management, confidence, all of that kind of thing, which hopefully you'd find really useful. And my Twitter handle is Andrea BC Coach, and I'm all over the place as well, but they're the main ones.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. Everyone's saying thank you in the comments as well. Loads of people found this really valuable, so thank you for all coming along. Just a bit more about us at the Together Network. We are also putting loads of blogs up on the, guest blogs. So Ash and Andrea have written a blog for us, which is at togethernetworking.co.uk.